Hey guys, welcome to the Training Captain. So today we're just going to take a quick look at the FMGC and just a very basic overview of how we'll get it set up for a quick flight in the 320. So here we are on the 320 flight deck. As you can see, this is how we generally see it when we get on with the APU. It's started and it is powered up. Obviously all the systems are powered up here. So we take a little bit of a closer look into the FMGC. This will be one of the first pages you'll see. Obviously it's got the aircraft type at the top. Got the engines on the aircraft. We've got the CFM56 engines today. Active database, and it's got a secondary database as well. Active one is the one that's currently in use. Once we get to the end date here, we can flip over and use the secondary database, and that will activate and just show any changes that might have been made. Idle and performance factor here. This will be figures shown on your flight plan. If you do need to change these, generally, as you're probably aware, anything in blue you can change over. If it's not in blue, you can't change it. So this is obviously in green. If you did want to change that, you'd simply type ARM in change code, and then as you can see here, that allows you to then change the idle and performance figures. So first we click on the init page. First thing we do here is type in a flight number and the company routing. So we just put in a fictitious flight number here. We are currently at Luton Airport in London. So we put in Luton, Paris. Okay, so that's not in the database. This is just a SIM-ism. LFEG. There we go. So we're going from Luton to Paris, LFEG. Alternate airport, we'd plug in here. Again, all this information would be on your flight plan. So that gives us an alternate airport. Cost index, again, goes from 0 to 999. Generally for our airline, we put in a cost index of 4. Some airlines put in a cost index of 10. Once again, this is information on your flight plan. Wind. Request the winds. This will give us some accurate numbers when we put in the flight plan in, and estimated winds in the climb, cruise and descent as well. So that's showing uplink. That usually takes a few seconds. Go to the next page. So here we've got 0 fuel weight and 0 fuel weight C of G. Once again, this will be on your flight plan. I'm just going to put in just some random numbers now, just to show you what it's going to look like. 56/C of G of 30. Got fuel, just put in 5 tons. Then that will start working out and give us some predictions. As you can see at the moment, it is just predictions based on what we put in at the moment. This will change depending on our final figures. Once the dispatchers come in with the final paperwork, we put our final figures in, this will all change again. That's in the page. So now we've got a cruise flight level and a temperature. We can put a 220/-15. We've got wind data uplink here, so we click back on the wind. It's showing us uplink. There's nothing in there, but it would show, like I said, you've got climb wind. Put back in here, next phase, climb wind and descent wind there. Okay, so once that's the basics input, so we go across the flight plan. So, first thing we need to do is put in a departure. So we've already got Luton Airport, but now we put in a departure. So we can select either one of the runways. It gives you the distance of the runway as well, also the course and the idling frequencies. Put in runway 25. These are all the different departures that we're going to have. Let's just select one here. We can input that, and then we go to Paris. Arrivals, so we've got the ILS runways here, easterlies, and then the westerly runways as well. There we go. So we put in this arrival. There are actually transitions for Paris, which are handy as they are in here. Mopar 7 Whiskey, here we go. Brilliant. Okay, so now, as you can see, we've got a route showing. This is our departure out of Luton. If we go onto a plan view here, you can see it, and we put constraints on, see it in a little bit more detail. So we're going to take off. This is the match departure out of London, so we take off westerly direction 25, which is what we put in, and we'll be making a left-hand turn. If we use the up and the down arrows, as you can see, we can just check that routing here. Okay, so this is the routing out to the east. We would have a more southerly routing, but just to give you an example of how it's going to work. Back into the box. Generally, when you upload a flight plan, it will give you the full routing, so it will give you the waypoints in between. If it doesn't, you can do all this manually. This one, it's just got the end of the departure and the start of the arrival. So what I'm going to do is press clear. And this will clear out. Clear. Insert temporary. Okay, then it joins up the match and the bivacs. This shows the full arrival now. So now we've got a distance 270 miles, which is about right. 56 minutes, which is, yeah, once again, gross error check looks about right. Estimated fuel on board. Obviously, this depends how much fuel you're going to load up, but this shows how much fuel you're going to have on arrival. That's the basics of the flight plan page. Then we've got RadNav, which we come over here. Generally, you would use this if you've got an engine out procedure on the departure. You can tune up any nav aids that you might want. You don't have to fill this in, but it's just general for situational awareness that you might want to put something else in. Prog page, once again, so this will give you your cruise flight level. This is what you're expected to fly from your flight plan. Then you've got the optimal flight level here and the recommended max, which for the 320, you're never going to be above flight level 390, especially for commercial operations. Bearing and distance, again, just for situational awareness, this can be handy. What I generally tend to do is put in the bearing distance of the runway that you're departing from, and if anything happens, once you get airborne, you lose instrumentation. You've got a bearing and distance straight back to the runway. GPS primary nav accuracy is high as well. If you want to, you can look at the predictive GPS. So we can put this in for Luton. Time in there, and then this is just going to tell us basically if we're going to expect to have predictive GPS, how many satellites we're going to have available either side of that time that we put in. Standard departure, once again, you're not really going to be using this. Performance, so this is going to be done on a tablet or any other laptop device, whatever you use in your company to put your performance figures in. So these are our V speeds. We've got V1, VR, and V2. So once again, we'll just put in just some speeds just to populate the information. So we go 140, 140, and 145. Transition altitude. So this is where above this would be setting standard. We haven't been cleared to a flight level from ATC. Flight retraction speeds. These are our limiting speeds on the aircraft based on the weight and the wind data and everything else that we punch in the computers. Flaps, once again, this will be calculated in our performance figures, and then a flex temperature, 50 degrees. I'll explain the flex temperature in another video. Thrust reduction, acceleration, and the engine out acceleration. So once we get above thrust reduction, we'll bring thrust levers back into the climb V10, and obviously we've got acceleration. Engine out acceleration as well, you can put this in if you want to, it's not necessarily required. Climb. We've got a managed speed, 220 knots. This is a constriction on the initial departure that we have. If for some reason we want to fly slower than that, we can put in a pre-selected speed less than that. And if we click on to the next page, obviously we can just see our cruise data, descent, the speed will be in the descent, and then approach data as well. We wouldn't fill this in on the ground, we just generally do this as part of our approach checklist before we come into land at the destination. Fuel prediction. This gives us all our predicted fuels. Once again, this isn't accurate just yet, these are predicted fuel figures. So we've got a minimum destination fuel on board. This shows us some extra time that we have at the other end. You can put in your alternate fuel and anything else that you want to as well. Once again, This can change depending on your final figures before you get going, but this is just the basics of the fuel page. Secondary flight plan, generally in our airline we would copy the active. I'm not sure if it's going to work on the flight sim. We go back into here, departure, press the right arrow, and here we would have an option for an engine out SID. So this is our contingency procedure. If we depart and we lose an engine, what we'd do once we're in the air, we'd activate the secondary flight plan, and this would activate our engine out procedure, tell us which hole to go to sit to work through the problem. So that's not available at the moment. And that's it really, guys. ATC COM, we can use this to work through the CPDLC menu, which again is not on this aircraft on the flight sim at the moment. But as you can see, we've got a route in here. It's on plan mode at the moment. So we put that, normally we depart in arc, and you can see we've got a nice routing. If we put this on a little bit of a higher scale, there we go, there's our routing here. So if we go back into flight plan, and we can just work through the arrows here. Yep, that all looks good. Put it back onto plan, and we can show we've got a straight line all the way down. Nice descent right there. Everything's coded in the box properly, and this is the arrival into Paris. Takes us on a downwind leg, and then we'll be peeled off into vectors and land into Paris. So that's the basics of getting the FMG set up. Obviously there's a little bit more to it once you've got your final performance figures. Like I said, those figures will change, but that is the basics to get your flight up and running. Thank you.